Welcome back, as we next demonstrate to you how a simple marking off exercise is done using the instruments that you have already learned about onto a piece of metal that has been machined or filed square. In preparation for marking off, we first apply a coating of marking blue. Apply a thin layer. Don't make it thick or your lines will be jagged. Whilst the marking blue is drying, which takes only a minute or two, we collect all our tools and instruments and have a look at our sketch. The sketch shows a simple job, which requires that a piece of 12mm mild steel plate is to be marked to the major dimension of 95 by 100mm, after which 4 drilling holes are to be marked off. We begin by taking measurements of the workpiece, which in our example are 100mm by 100mm. The first exercise is to create a cutting line to obtain the specified width of 95mm. We'll use our tri-square, scriber and an engineer's rule for this part of our exercise. We first place the tri-square onto the work as seen here. The rule can now be placed up against the edge of the square. Now, using the scriber point, we mark the position of our cutting line at the 95mm mark. Next, we set the tri-square like this and carefully align the back edge to our mark. We then scribe our 95mm line from top to bottom as shown. To make sure we know it's a cutting line, a neat series of pop marks is made along the line, the way you learnt earlier. Returning to the sketch, we next see that 4 holes are to be marked for drilling. The 2 holes on the left lie on a common center line, which is 15mm in from our reference edge. To mark off this line, we'll set our Jenny caliper to 15mm, exactly against our engineer's rule. We then scribe our left center line in the way you learnt earlier. Referring again to the sketch, we see that the 2 right-hand holes also lie on a common center line, at a position 65mm from the left center line. Now, to get this position, using a Jenny caliper, we need to add the 15mm plus the 65mm, because we must work from the reference edge. The opening distance for the caliper is therefore 15 plus 65, which is 80mm. The caliper is now set to 80mm exactly, and the second center line is marked off. Next, we see that the 2 holes at the top of the sketch lie on the same horizontal center line at a position 15mm from the top reference edge. Again, we set our Jenny to 15mm and scribe our top horizontal center line. Now we deal with the lower center line for the 2 lower holes. This is set at 70mm from the upper center line. Again, we must add this to the figure 15mm to get the distance from the upper reference edge, and this adds up to 85mm. The Jenny is set to 85mm and the last center line is scribed. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4 intersections where our 4 holes are next to be marked off. A pop mark is now made exactly at each point of center line intersection. Now we look at the sketch once more, and you'll notice that the holes are not all of the same diameter. We have a 6 mm diameter, then a 7 mm, an 8 mm, and a 9 mm diameter hole specified on our sketch. We next set and use our dividers to scribe each drilling hole carefully according to the specified diameter. After all the holes have been scribed, we must complete the job by placing a pot mark at every point where a circle cuts through a center line. The completed job of marking off is now clear to see and gives you visual references to work to when you come to cut or drill. You will require much practice to help you master the skill of using marking off instruments, and we trust that the procedures demonstrated to you in this program will help you attain these skills. This brings us to the end of the Basic Engineering Skills series. You can learn more skills and procedures by viewing further programs in the Tech AV series.